The trend of DEI requirements at universities and workplaces has wreaked havoc on the younger generation. According to an op-ed from the New York Post, it says DEI hollowed out a generation and sapped the life out of America's promise, noting with young men's careers stalling out or withering away at a crucial time, DEI impacted a whole generation's willingness to marry and have kids. We fret about the nation's baby bust, wring our hands over declining rates of home ownership, and bemoan epidemic levels of loneliness among young people. Maybe unfairly barring a whole cohort of them from good jobs is the reason why. Compact Magazine went even further, writing a detailed expose on DEI's impact on a writer who suffered from it directly. In 2011, Jacob Savage noticed the amount of white writers in Hollywood diminished year by year until they made up about 12% of the entire community. Institutions like Harvard and media companies like The Atlantic followed the same path, cutting their staff of white people and males by large margins every year. But Vice President J.D. Vance says this is the end of discrimination against white people. Watch.
We have relegated DEI to the dustbin of history, which is exactly where it belongs. In the United States of America, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore. And if you're an Asian, you don't have to talk around your skin color when you're applying for college, because we judge people based on who they are, not on ethnicity and things they can't control.
So, Kennedy, you heard the applause lines that the vice president was getting there. Well, Governor Tim Walz criticized that very comment that J.D. Vance made and said that that proves that the Trump administration is no longer hiding the idea of white supremacy. So what do you think about that in this entire topic of the consequences of DEI?
I don't think when someone pushes back against the unfair outcomes of DEI, that necessarily makes them a white supremacist, especially when you're looking at people who've raised their kids to work hard and study hard and, you know, have all the extracurricular activities, and you will be rewarded because we live in a meritocracy. And DEI, unfortunately, takes away the notion of a meritocracy. And, you know, instead of creating a level playing field, what they do is arbitrarily punish people. And so now you're seeing, especially younger white men, stay away from things like higher education because they feel like those systems are now actively and openly pitted against them. So you're taking an entire section of the population out of potential education and workforce. And Glenn Reynolds, you know, says very eloquently in this piece, that's going to have a detrimental effect on the country as a whole. And it's going to have a long-term effect. And there's no reason where you have to demonize entire groups of people. That's what we're trying to get away from. You know, it's rooted in good intentions, but the horrible outcomes mean that, you know, the entire time we've been doing it wrong, and there has to be a better way. And we can achieve a meritocracy without demonizing entire swaths of the population.
Yeah. Arthel, what do you think?
Well, you know, first of all, DEI is not an ideology, it's access. And to your point, some of the points you were making, I want to read this. This is a quote from the article we were referencing. This is the quote. It says, in 2011, white men were 48% of lower-level TV writers. By 2024, they accounted for just 11.9%. The Atlantic's editorial staff went from 53% male and 89% white in 2013 to 36% male and 66% white in 2024. Of course, those stats are lopsided. And to be clear, though, guys, let's not forget that white women are the biggest beneficiaries of DEI. So it's not completely about race. Again, it's about access. And of course, these young men being disenfranchised, that's an unintended consequence. And I think that there needs to be some adjustment. You cannot have a pendulum is best when it rests here. You can't have it way over here. You can't have it way over there. So let's get it back to where it's resting in the middle so everybody can benefit. Now, the final point that I would make, I think that AI is a bigger challenge for these younger, Gen Z and Gen Alpha than DEI.
Depends on who's programming it.
Yeah.
Well, that's another topic.
You know, Josh, Arthel brought up those statistics when it comes to writers. It's difficult to prove why somebody got hired over another person, but it is illegal to discriminate against somebody based on gender or race. So from a legal standpoint, how do you view DEI policies?
Yeah, and it's hard to prove it, but the data bears it out.
Right.
When you've seen this incredible decrease in one segment of the population, you have to imagine something is being done to discriminate against that segment of the population. And Kennedy made an excellent point. You know, we're talking about this being about young white men, as if it's a problem exclusive to them. It's an American problem. They don't live in a vacuum, these young white men, and they're going to grow up, and they're going to be a part of our country and a part of our culture. And if they're having problems, well, then you're talking about perhaps increase in crime, perhaps increase in poverty, a lack of productivity. This is something that we're all going to be living with, even though we're talking about how this affects one segment of the population. But we shouldn't be surprised by any of this, because any time you are never going to have a good and successful outcome when you are using tools like discrimination to accomplish.
But it's not discrimination, because you're talking about, we started out with lopsided stats, as I pointed out. And again, we certainly don't want to have any sector of our population, young men, white men at all, of course not. But you started out with uneven stats, if you will. So what DEI was intended to do was to level the playing field, not to give, it's not about giving you a head start. Okay, you want to start from that same starting line, but provide everyone with the same cleats, the same food to get you ready for the race, the same coaches, et cetera. You get my point. Right. Got to leave it there.
Yeah, and you know
choice. I mean, that's where it all starts, because you've got kids in inner cities who are shoved into failing schools with absolutely no educational mobility, and that puts them at the greatest disadvantage we have in society.
And Kayleigh, speaking of schools, I just want to bring up a couple more statistics, because 2 years ago, of course, the Supreme Court banned race as a deciding factor in college admissions, and since then, the percentage of Asian American freshmen has nearly doubled at Johns Hopkins University, from 26% to 45% from just 2023 to 2025. And you think, well, good call, Supreme Court, because clearly there were students that should have been getting into Johns Hopkins who weren't, just based off their race or how their last name sounded.
Yeah, and I think that's further evidence that DEI was, in fact, deliberate discrimination. And I do think it was deliberate discrimination against young white men in particular across multiple industries. And again, I think the data bears that out. The great thing about the compact piece is that it lays out in statistical terms what you can't deny anymore. And the thing is, many of us on the right knew that this was happening for a long time. But if you ever pointed out that this was anti-white male discrimination, you were met with one of three responses. You were gaslit and told, no, this isn't happening. You're just not used to what it looks like when the scales are balanced. Or you were told, no, actually, this is a good thing because you've been at the very top of the pyramid for so long that you deserve to come down a little bit. Or three, and I think the most common response was that you were told to shove your concerns elsewhere, or else you were risking being fired, being canceled, being smeared as a racist. And I think this hit young men in my generation hard in particular, because men don't like to complain about their circumstances. They like to take control of them. And they couldn't put a name on what was happening to them. And they felt helpless, and they have reverted to very toxic forms of control instead. And you've seen this now affect an entire generation at what was really supposed to be a pivotal moment of their lives. And what happened here is that the left essentially forced them to endure collective punishment for sins that they did not commit. So if people are surprised by the growing trend among young men of them moving to the right, look no further. This is the reason why. You pushed them to the right by isolating them and by robbing them of some of their most influential years.
All very good points.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.